In the Fertile Crescent, 4,300 years ago, lay Akkad, the world's first true empire. Built by Sargon the Great, Akkad was a testament to unified power, governing a vast realm from Mesopotamia. Sargon's reign was a golden age of prosperity. His armies conquered city-states, creating a single, mighty kingdom. The heart of this empire was Akkad, a city whose exact location remains one of history's greatest mysteries. But we know Akkad was a marvel, an administrative hub, a center of trade, and a showcase of monumental architecture. The Akkadians developed the first postal system, cuneiform seals, and a unified system of weights and measures across Mesopotamia. Their unique language, Akkadian, became the lingua franca of the Near East, written in Sumerian cuneiform scripts.
Lush, wide shot of irrigated fields, wheat or barley, alongside the Euphrates River.
The rivers, Tigris and Euphrates, were the lifeblood of Mesopotamia, turning barren land into a fertile paradise for Akkad. Akkad's warriors were formidable, but their empire's true strength lay in its highly organized bureaucracy, unheard of before in Mesopotamia. Metalworkers crafted exquisite bronze tools and weapons, powering both agriculture and the Akkadian military. The Akkadian pantheon included powerful gods and goddesses, whose favor was sought through elaborate rituals in Akkad. Successors to Sargon, like Naram-Sin, continued to expand and consolidate the empire's power, building new cities and monuments. Their vast trade networks reached far beyond Mesopotamia, bringing exotic goods from distant lands to Akkad's markets.
This was a time of unprecedented peace and stability for much of the region, orchestrated by the unified rule of Akkad.
The empire was truly a marvel, defying the fragmented past of competing city-states that characterized early Mesopotamia. Akkad's royal household supported artisans, poets, and musicians, fostering a rich cultural life in Mesopotamia. The city's massive granaries held enough food to feed its population for years, a testament to Akkad's foresight.
Sargon's daughter, Enheduanna, was the first named author in history, a high priestess whose hymns still awe us today.
The Akkadians even developed sophisticated astronomical observations, mapping the heavens above Mesopotamia. Life in Akkad was highly structured, from the king to the farmer, each playing a vital role in the functioning of the empire. Their pottery was renowned for its intricate designs and delicate craftsmanship, a symbol of Akkad's artistic skill. The wealth flowing into Akkad allowed for magnificent temples dedicated to their gods, dominating the urban landscape.
For over a century, Akkad stood as a beacon of power and innovation, the undisputed master of ancient Mesopotamia.
But even the greatest empires are vulnerable to forces beyond their control. For Akkad, it came from the sky. The fragile stability of Mesopotamia depended entirely on the predictable flow of the Tigris and Euphrates.
Then, around 2200 BCE, something devastating happened.
Scientists now call it the 4.2 kiloyear event. A prolonged mega evidence from dust layers, oxygen isotopes, and ancient lake beds confirms a rapid aridification across the region.
The northern tributaries feeding the mighty Euphrates began to dry up, turning fertile lands into dust in Akkad's periphery. For the Akkadians, it wasn't just a bad harvest, it was an existential threat, a force beyond any army's power.
The subtle changes quickly became catastrophic. Less water meant less irrigation, then crop failure throughout Mesopotamia. Grain, once abundant, became scarce. The vast granaries of Akkad began to empty, one sack at a time.
What began as a distant problem soon migrated south, carried by dust storms, impacting the very heart of Akkad.
The once reliable rivers, the source of Akkad's prosperity, dwindled, exposing their muddy beds in many places. Animal herds, essential for food and labor, began to die off, further exacerbating the growing crisis across Akkad's lands. The price of basic foodstuffs skyrocketed. the meticulously tracked economy of Akkad spiraled into chaos. Desperate pleas to the gods for rain filled the temples, but the heavens remained silent above Mesopotamia. Interior shot of an administrative building, scribes looking distraught, their tables empty of new accounts. The kings of Akkad, once seen as divine, faced a threat that their armies could not conquer, nor their laws control. Small, isolated communities were the first to suffer, their wells drying up completely in Akkad's periphery. The rich, fertile soil, once tilled with care, turned brittle and dusty, unable to hold moisture anymore in Mesopotamia. The great irrigation canals, once flowing channels of life, became dusty trenches filled with cracked mud in Akkad.
You divert the water before it reaches us. Our crops are failing.
We have families to feed as well.
The river is nearly dry for everyone.
A small group of Akkadian families beginning a journey with meager belongings across a dusty plain. The once bustling trade routes grew quiet. Who would trade for goods when basic survival was at stake in Akkad?
Archaeological evidence confirms a sharp decline in population density in northern Mesopotamia during this period.
The empire's edges, always restive, saw this as an opportunity to break free from Akkad's weakened grip.
The monumental projects that defined Akkad slowed, then stopped. There was no surplus. The golden age of Sargon's Akkad was drawing to a close, not with a roar, but with a silent, suffocating thirst. With the north depopulated, nomadic groups like the Gutians descended from the Zagros Mountains, seeking dwindling resources. These barbarians, as the Akkadians called them, exploited the empire's weakness, raiding what little remained of its wealth. Akkad's once invincible armies, stretched thin and weakened by famine, could no longer defend the vast borders of Mesopotamia. Kings became isolated figures, unable to command a starving and migrating populace in Akkad. People began to abandon the once great cities, leaving behind their homes and their hope in Mesopotamia. The famed royal city of Akkad itself, once the envy of the world, gradually fell silent. Historians speculate it wasn't a violent overthrow, but a slow, heartbreaking abandonment by its own citizens. The great ziggurats and temples stood empty, no longer filled with prayers or offerings in Akkad.
For a terrifying 300 years, northern Mesopotamia entered a dark age, a period of fragmentation and chaos.
Writing nearly vanished in some regions. The intricate bureaucracy of Akkad was replaced by local strongmen and petty chieftains. The memory of Akkad persisted as a legend, a lost golden age, but its physical presence became dust and myth. The sophisticated irrigation systems, once maintained by Akkad's engineers, fell into disrepair, worsening the drought's effects. This period taught humanity a harsh lesson. No empire, no matter how powerful. Drought led to deforestation for fuel, which led to more erosion and desertification in Mesopotamia. The decline was gradual but irreversible, a slow unraveling of everything Sargon had built in Akkad. The people of the south often saw this northern collapse as a divine punishment for Akkad's sins.
The silence that fell over Akkad was profound.
The land itself seemed to reject the grandiosity of the empire, returning to a more primal, wild state in Mesopotamia.
For centuries, travelers would avoid the cursed lands where Akkad once stood, fearing its ghosts and silence.
The collapse was so complete that archaeologists still struggle to find the exact location of Akkad.
What happened to Akkad became a cautionary tale, passed down through generations in Mesopotamia.
The fall of Akkad teaches us that even the most advanced societies are ultimately dependent on a stable environment.
The enduring legacy of Akkad, however, lived on in its language, its laws, and its very concept of empire.
The world's first empire may have crumbled, but but it left an indelible mark on the civilizations.